You're about to hear something most Americans never learned. There's a place in the United States where history doesn't just live, it haunts. A place where the past is so violent, so buried, so profitable, that every street, every river, every courthouse still carries its fingerprints. A place where the richest slave economy in American history was built, where the nation's harshest slave code was written, and where America's deadliest prison still stands on the grounds of plantation, with inmates picking crops on the same fields enslaved Africans once worked. This isn't folklore. This isn't legend. This is Louisiana, a state with the beauty of a postcard and the backstory of a crime scene, a place where disappearances, corruption, and political cover-ups stretch back centuries, where entire fortunes were built on bodies, and where some secrets were buried so deep in the swamps that you can still feel them pressing on the silence. In a few minutes, I'm going to show you the Louisiana that never makes the tourism brochures, the Louisiana that shaped America's wealth, its prisons, its politics, and its darkest myths. This is a story Louisiana doesn't want told, and once you hear it, you can never unhear it. Before Louisiana was American, it belonged to France. And in 1724, something unprecedented happened. The French introduced a law that would define slavery in the region for centuries. The Code Noir, the Black Code. Most Americans have never heard of it, but historians call it the harshest slave code in the Western Hemisphere. The legal foundation that normalized a system so profitable it transformed Louisiana into the economic engine of the South. Under the Code Noir, enslaved people were forbidden from gathering, forbidden from learning, forbidden from owning property, forbidden from protecting their own families. Their entire lives were controlled, not just their labor. Louisiana wasn't just using slavery, it was perfecting it. And while the colonists claimed this was order, the truth was simple. Louisiana was being engineered for one purpose: maximum extraction of wealth. Tourists walk through New Orleans today charmed by the jazz, the food, the architecture, never knowing they are walking across the largest slave trading district in North America. Not second, not third, number one. Economists today estimate that the domestic slave trade in New Orleans generated the modern equivalent of billions of dollars. Why? Because Louisiana's plantations produced two things America desperately wanted: cotton and sugar, the gold and diamonds of the 1800s. Sugar especially was so profitable, it was called white gold. Plantation owners made enormous wealth, and the banks? They wrote the loans, held the mortgages, and financed the expansion. Human beings weren't just labor. They were collateral. Wall Street banks accepted enslaved people as loan security, mortgage assets, insurance claims. The wealth that New Orleans created didn't stay in Louisiana. It flowed into national banks, Ivy League endowments, trading firms, and northern industries. Louisiana's suffering became America's prosperity. Drive upriver from New Orleans along the Mississippi, and you'll see it. A row of massive plantation mansions. Oak Alley, Whitney, Laura, Evergreen. Places tourists photograph without understanding what happened behind those columns. Behind every beautiful architecture piece was a labor system so brutal and relentless that life expectancy on a Louisiana sugar plantation was among the lowest in the world. Not because of direct violence, but because the work was nonstop, the environment unforgiving, and the conditions designed to maximize output at any cost. People weren't meant to survive long. They were meant to produce. The plantations didn't operate like farms. They operated like factories. Industrial machines powered by human lives. And when one person broke down, they were replaced. That's why New Orleans needed such a massive slave market. It fed an industry built on exhaustion. But Louisiana's darkest creation was still to come. Today, Angola Prison is the largest maximum security prison in the United States. 18,000 acres. Bigger than Manhattan. What most people don't know is this. Angola Prison used to be a plantation, one of the most feared in Louisiana. And after the Civil War, when slavery was outlawed, Louisiana found a loophole. The 13th Amendment banned slavery, except as punishment for a crime. So the state began arresting black men for vagrancy, loitering, speaking out, or any small infraction that could be used to jail them. And once they were imprisoned, they were forced to work the same land enslaved people had worked before them. Same fields, Same crops, same overseer houses, same system, just with a different name. Angola became the model for what critics today call slavery by another name. Former wardens even admitted that the prison structure mirrored a plantation intentionally. This wasn't an accident. It was continuity. Louisiana didn't end slavery. It redesigned it. Louisiana culture is one of the richest in America. Creole, Cajun, French, Spanish, African, Caribbean. A mixture found nowhere else in the world. But within this beauty lies a deep contradiction. The same code that oppressed enslaved people also created a unique class of free people of color with property, businesses, education, and in rare cases, considerable wealth. New Orleans once had the largest community of free black people in the South. But after the Louisiana Purchase, when America took over, everything changed. The U.S. brought Anglo-American racial laws that were far more restrictive. The freedoms Creoles of color once had were chipped away, slowly, then aggressively. Their businesses were undermined, their political power dissolved, their rights revoked. America didn't understand Louisiana's racial complexity, and instead of learning it, it suppressed it. This erasure left generations confused about their own cultural heritage. And it explains why Louisiana's identity feels like two histories pulling against each other, one proud, one painful. Louisiana's disasters aren't just natural. Some are political. When Hurricane Katrina struck in 2005, many people drowned, thousands were displaced, and entire communities, especially black neighborhoods, were erased. But here's the part rarely discussed. Billions flowed into reconstruction. Contracts, land purchases, infrastructure deals, real estate flips. Disaster became an economy. Neighborhoods once rich in culture were replaced by developers who saw opportunity in tragedy. Many residents never returned, not because they didn't want to, but because the systems didn't bring them back. Katrina wasn't just a storm. It was a turning point that reshaped the city's demographics and future. But Louisiana is not just tragedy. It is resilience. Jazz wasn't created in comfort. It was born in struggle. The rhythm of survival turned into music that changed the world. Creole cuisine came from resourcefulness, turning scraps into masterpieces. The Mardi Gras Indians, one of the most mysterious cultural groups in America, carried traditions rooted in Native and African alliances formed during slavery. And every parade, every dish, every song isn't just celebration, it's testimony. Louisiana's culture survived everything history threw at it, through fire, through flood, through oppression, through erasure, through laws designed to silence it. Louisiana stands not because it avoided darkness, but because it outsang it. Here's the truth most people never learn. Louisiana is not a side story. It is the blueprint for much of America's racial, economic, and political structure. Slavery as finance, perfected in Louisiana, later adopted nationwide. Policing rooted in plantation control, born in the sugar parishes, spread across the South. Prison labor as economic engine, refined at Angola, expanded into a national phenomenon. Cultural suppression, codified through Louisiana's post-purchase laws. Disaster capitalism, Katrina was one of the clearest examples. America didn't just influence Louisiana. Louisiana influenced America in ways most people never realize. Louisiana is a place where the past never stays silent, where progress and pain walk side by side, where beauty grows in places once scarred, where every jazz note, every Creole recipe, every Mardi Gras bead carries the weight of centuries. And if you want to understand America, its wealth, its inequality, its culture, its contradictions, you cannot ignore Louisiana, because Louisiana is the truth America tries hardest not to look at. Before you go, ask yourself one question. How many more stories like this have been buried, rewritten, or completely erased from America's memory? If you want these untold histories brought to the light, hit that like button so this story reaches more people. It takes 1 second. But it tells the algorithm you refuse to let these voices stay forgotten. Subscribe if you're ready for the next chapter, because the truth we uncover next will shake everything you thought you knew. And drop a comment below. I'm ready for more truth. Your comment isn't just engagement. It's part of the record, a signal that people still care, that history still matters, and that we won't let silence win.